Hello, hello, Sharp. Um, Hi, everyone. My name is Alabo Briggs. I'm a senior software engineer. I currently lead the technical team at Parallel AI NYC, and then I also lead the engineering team at for Oscar Festival. Um, yeah, so like today's topic says, I'll be talking about how to adapt to this new world of AI as a software engineer. Basically, how do you put yourself at a position where the whole talk of AI replacing you is not going to affect you? And then if you're also trying to like build your career as a software engineer, how best can you use AI to help you achieve that goal? So the first thing is AI is here. Is it a threat or is it your ticket to freedom? Like so many people have said since 2023, since the first GPT was released, I think GPT-3, right? They've been saying software engineers are going to be obsolete very soon. Everybody is going to lose their job. But then 2 years, 3 years after, we are still here. None of that has happened. And as a matter of fact, engineers are becoming more productive than ever. Senior engineers are able to take on tasks that would normally take 3 weeks in like what, a day, 2 days. So yeah, if you should ask me, AI is here, is it a job threat or is it a ticket to freedom? I would say it's a ticket to freedom. And in the next few slides, I'm going to explain how and then how you can better position yourself as both a junior and also a senior engineer. So as a junior engineer in the world of AI, I know a lot of people say there is no there is no there's no space anymore for junior engineers because AI can easily replace what you do. You don't need to get into software engineering anymore. You need to think of another career, maybe become a mechanic, become an electrician. These are real things that people say. But I think if you better, work with AI, it will actually like make you at least level up a bit better. And one of the ways you can do that is with AI these days, it's easier for you to build real world complicated projects as opposed to the usual things that we see. Back then when we started in 2017, building like a calculator, a to-do list, a basic landing page was enough for you to land a job. You get me? But these days where you can one shot building a very complicated system, you can literally look at a product that you like, feed it to like a popular LLM, and it can spin that out for you in a very, let's say in a few minutes or hours, depends on your proficiency. I think with AI, it's now easier for you to build more complicated projects that can also showcase your skill. Because one of the things that most people look at when they are hiring new engineers is how fast or how efficient can you build real projects. Personally, I hire a lot of engineers. I've hired a lot even this year. And one of the things that I look at when hiring a new engineer is how easy it is for you to solve problems. So I could give you a landing page and tell you, build this out in 30 minutes or in 1 hour. And then I try to see try to see like your process. I try to see which LLMs are you choosing. Are you choosing ChatGPT? Are you choosing Cloud? Are you choosing say Llama by Meta? You get me? So yeah, AI can help you build more complicated projects that help you showcase your skill and show that you actually know what you're doing. The next thing is it's also help you understand code base faster. So unlike in the past where you see a button and then you get onboarded on the team and they ask you and you need to start asking, oh, where does this button work or how does this, let's say there's a store in it, there's a React store, right? You need to start asking questions like, oh, how does this particular store work? You can basically now feed that file to an LLM and it would easily tell you, okay, if you want to change this button to render when this switch is clicked, you just do this. So basically AI makes you onboard faster, even as a junior engineer, which is also sort of help you to, level up a bit faster. And an opportunity to stand out as well. Now, if as a junior engineer, right, you use LLMs like you're supposed to, it can easily make you stand out. How do I mean? Same things, moving back to the first conversation, which is like building better projects, also getting related to understanding the code base faster. If you actually use AI in everything you're doing, like as a software engineer coming up, you see that it can easily make you stand out. When I ask you for a feature, instead of you taking a week, you can literally take a day. And stuffs, little things like that, like a productivity boost, will actually help you put in the eyes of like your seniors or put in the eyes of, people of interest. You get what I mean? Next thing, prepare to be senior, learn how to review code. So one of the integral parts of using LLMs to write code for you is understanding how to review code. You can't just copy and paste code like most people that use AI wrongly do. So when the code comes in, you need to basically review every line of code for you to better understand what it's doing. And that sort of prepares you for what being a senior engineer is like. You get me? Because the majority of what you do as like a tech lead or as a senior engineer is reviewing other people's code. So when you start by reviewing what AI is doing and picking out bugs, picking out errors, what might be wrong, is this logic correct? Because just like every other tool, just like if you hire somebody else, you also need to review their code. So this sort of also helps you adapt or basically prepare you to what the real world will look like as you get further in your career. You get what I mean? Yeah. So becoming employable, that's another thing again that AI can also help you to do as a software engineer. Basically from the previous slide, if you follow all these practices, build better projects, understand the code base better, to give you an opportunity to stand out, that will basically just make you more employable, because these days everybody is looking for engineers who can ship fast and ship efficiently. So if you use AI a lot, it would actually help you level up a lot and then become irreplaceable if you show that yes, what you're doing, you know what you're doing, and then you can stand out from the others. So this one is more targeted at, will I say, senior engineers or those who are more interested in entrepreneurship. Yeah. So like many of us, we got into tech because we wanted to be the next Elon Musk or the next Mark Zuckerberg, right? And back then, it was a lot harder for you to say build a team of engineers without paying them or offering equity. You get. But these days, with the right LLM and the right tools, you're able to build and ship you're able to build and ship custom real world projects that you can actually use as your startup without being heavily reliant on hiring like a very, very large teams. You get what I mean? Yeah. So the first topic here is the world is tilting towards self-reliance, which goes back to what I was discussing about earlier. Everybody keeps on talking about getting a job, right? But then, if you cannot get a job, what next? Being a software engineer these days, when you can basically build anything, it gives you that freedom to build something that people would actually need. And it must not be the most groundbreaking project. You must not build something like that the world has not seen before. As a matter of fact, the easier way for you to even go by making stuff that actually works is by looking at something that already works and just replicating it and making it a lot simpler or better. Yeah. Like I said, jobs may be replaced, but not if you employ yourself. If you work on launching your own apps, and if you work on launching your own apps and one of your apps gets successful, you don't have to bother about being replaced or jobs getting replaced. You already make your own money. You're already self-reliant. You don't need to care about companies hiring you, stuff like that. Like I said, it's a creator economy. Everybody's moving, or most people are moving towards self-reliance, building your own thing, selling to the public. If it does not work, there's LLM. You don't need to hire 10 engineers. If you build one thing, it doesn't work, you switch up to the next thing. You keep on building until one finally works out. Again, it's founder mode. Unlike the old days where we have to hire 10 engineers or 50 engineers, designers, and all of this, and then offer them equity for them to do free work for you. These days, you can literally pay an LLM $20 per month or $50 per month, and you're getting the same productivity as you would get from 5 engineers who might be costing you $2,000 per month. Oh yeah, so this basically shows you the graph of the highest growing, the highest company, the fastest growing companies to $500 million. You see that the the companies that reached that goal very fast are mostly AI companies, and these teams are very small. Like I think Coso as of then was about 25 teams or so, and they were very young. It was not as like big as the usual thing used to be. Okay, so now we've spoken about how you can, use AI to become a better junior engineer, how you can use AI to become a better senior engineer, how you can become more productive and all of that. So now, as much as there are the good sides of using AI, there's also the bad sides or the cautions that you should take when using AI, right? The way I would say using LLMs should be is see it as more of like a sidekick. So most of what you need to write, you need to review. You get what I mean? Start small, no big change. What does that mean? So you're given a code base now and they say, okay, it's a landing page. A designer gives you a landing page. You can't just go and paste the landing page on LLM and say, build me this whole thing. You're going to be more prone to bugs. It will be harder for you to manage and know exactly like what you need to change. So the way you should go about something like building a landing page would be, say, you start with the header section. You say, okay, you screenshot that part or you like provide it through an MCP and say, okay, build me this section first. And then when it is done, you move to the next section, build me the about section. So that when it does that, you can easily review it, understand it, and then you move to the next session until the full landing page is done. As opposed to just pushing everything in there, you're getting back like 2,000 lines of code. Everybody gets confused because it's a lot harder for you to review and, like read like a large file. You get what I mean? So don't just copy and paste. So when you're coding with an LLM and it gives you like a solution, you don't just, I know a lot of people are very, how will I put it? A lot of people are guilty of this, where even from the Stack Overflow days, you basically just copy what is there and paste in your code, and then you start getting errors everywhere. This still happens today, where you see an engineer, you write a PRO. Time for you to review the PRO, you ask, okay, what is happening here? They cannot really tell you because they copied exactly what AI has given them and pasted it there. And AI still, and LLM still, they still hallucinate, You tell it to do something else, it might go ahead and remove it. You might tell it to, okay, this test is not working. It would go and remove the test instead of actually like fixing your code. So one thing that you should know how to do is don't just copy and paste, understand it, read it, and just know exactly what's going on. It will help you a lot. Don't be over reliant. Yes, using LLMs is great, is good. AI is making everybody more productive, a lot better. But you should also know how to be an engineer without the tools available. If today you're in an emergency situation, you don't have internet or any of that, like, can you actually operate without the need of LLMs being there? And one of the ways you can do that is, practice more. The more you read, the more you understand what LLMs are doing, and the more you write your own code, like at least to a certain percentage, you will be more self-reliant than just 100% depending on what LLMs write. Used for a lot of repetitive tasks. So stuff like documentation. As you get, depends on what career level you are, you tend to write a lot of documentations for new codes that you're writing. So one thing you can use LLMs for is writing those documentations, repetitive tasks like, say, okay, convert this file from CSS to Tailwind, copy and paste this code, redo this stuff for something else, stuff like that. And then the last on this list is choose your LLMs properly. So many people have this feedback where they say, oh, they wrote with an LLM, they wrote with an AI, and it's not as good as they expected. But then one thing you should understand is that different models work great for different tasks. If you're a software engineer, you do not really have any business using, should I say, ChatGPT to write code. You should be using Cloud AI. You should be using Anthropic Cloud AI. That is just a lot better for you to write code. If you shouldn't be using something like, Grok is good, but Grok would be more real world scenarios, real world questions. So you basically need to understand what LLMs you should use. Should you be using Cloud 3.5, Cloud 4.1, the complexity of the tax. And I think this one sort of comes with practice. You get the more LLMs you use, the more you switch it over, the more you sort of understand what basically works for you. You get what I mean? So I think that's about it. So yeah, why software engineers are the future of the new Africa? So like I said from the start of the talk, right? With the emergence of LLMs and the way it is going, where there are so many opportunities, there are so many things you can do these days, right? Yeah, like as a software engineer, right, you become very less dependent on a lot of variables that would usually affect you. Example, you could be a very good front-end engineer and you might not be the best at back-end engineering. Or you could be a back-end engineer, you might not be the very best at like front-end engineering. But these days with LLM and with your basic understanding of, say, JavaScript, you might be able to feed based off the UI, feed it to an LLM and it will tell you exactly what you need to do, or it might even do it for you. All you need to do is, review the code. The same thing too for design. If you're a design first person and you're sort of like a design eye, you can basically say, okay, I'm trying to build a landing page for, say, my real estate company, right? Usually the way you would go about this is hire a designer, then the designer is done, you feed it to a front-end engineer, then the front-end engineer is done, or the back-end engineer does it for whatever. So, but these days, you can basically encompass all of that as just one person. I do that a lot. I spin off a lot of projects on my own where I don't need to hire like a designer or hire like a front-end or back-end engineer or a mobile engineer. I usually just do all of that myself. So yeah, that's about it. It just gives you more freedom for you to build and do whatever it is that you want. And that's about it for the talk. My last slide is not here. Yeah, ta-da. Yeah, thank you. Clap now. Yeah, so yeah, this is me, Alabo Briggs. My Twitter is Alabo Marine. Yeah, that's about it.